Ladies and gentlemen, DOGE is in the IRS. That's right. And the Democrats are freaking out. They're literally like freaking out that DOGE has made their way to the IRS because I have to wonder what's going on inside there. You know, the whole system is broken. There's a viral video going around where it shows, I think it's Bill Clinton and Al Gore talking about how they need to completely restructure, gut all these departments. And this was back in the 90s. Now we're looking at one of the first efforts ever to get rid of the waste, fraud, and the abuse. And what's happening? Well, now that DOGE has made its way to the IRS, I just love saying that, by the way, Democrats in 14 states have launched a lawsuit, as well as some nonprofits, against Elon Musk and Trump to stop them from dealing with waste, fraud, and abuse. Well, in reality, we know that Elon is going after the bloat. He's approaching this like he would most of his companies. And we elected Donald Trump to do this. Does it mean these guys are perfect guys? No, but we know what their mission is. We know what they're doing, and we're glad to see it. DOGE has been putting up all of the programs they've been canceling. They've been giving everybody updates on what they're looking at and what needs to get cut. And the Democrats just keep claiming it's not really happening. In one article, they claimed Elon Musk isn't actually cutting anything, despite the fact that we actually have a big list of all of the cuts that were made so far. Yeah, they're losing their mind. So we'll talk about that. We got a lot more. Trump is off. He's proposing some kind of like demilitarization between China and Russia. You got the media freaking out saying that the end of the world is near. Zelensky in Ukraine is screaming because now apparently Russia is going to invade Poland, which is just utter nonsense. And then we got a couple stories because, you know, it wouldn't all be worth it unless we got the opportunity to gloat as we watch the screaming left freak out over nothing because they lost the election. We got our good friend Bill Burr saying that billionaires should be put down. That's crazy. And Kyle Kalinske is outraged that Elon Musk bought the government for $300 million. So he says tax all, what does he say? Tax all income. I don't know if he said income, but he says tax all wealth or whatever over $999 million, 100%. And it's just like, my friend, I'd like to just take this opportunity to tell you, Elon Musk does not have that much cash. That's not how money works. Also, those things from the plane, those were farms. So we'll talk about all of that stuff. I know. We'll get into it. Before we do, my friends, head over to castbrew.com. You got to buy Appalachian Nights. I can't believe Appalachian Nights sales have actually slowed because y'all just keep buying Ian's Graphene Dream. Well, to be fair, you are putting Ian through college, and you all know he needs it.
Thank God.
But I do recommend checking out Appalachian Nights, which is typically the best seller, though Ian's Graphene Dream has taken the website by storm. Stand Your Grounds is very similar, but it is a medium roast. And then there's the light roast, which is Rise with Roberto Jr. They're all really good. And then we've got, if you go digging into the ground, we've got Misty Mountains. Misty Mountains Costa Rican blend, as well as Focus with Mr. Bocus. That is an espresso blend. Definitely check that out. And don't forget, go to timcastpremium.com, and that's the easiest way you can subscribe and become a member at Rumble Premium. Check out the Green Room show. Yesterday we had Deborah Leah, and before that we had Mark Dubowitz. Behind the scenes, hanging out, chilling. And today, with Nate Cain, interesting conversation about being a whistleblower and getting poisoned, and they're trying to kill you. Well, I guess that's what happens when you go up against the deep state. That Green Room episode will be up at rumble.com/Timcast IRL for premium members in the playlist. You don't want to miss them. They're great episodes. And then, of course, for those who hang out after the main show, we're going to have that uncensored member call-in show available. So if you want to be a member and call in, you can go to timcast.com, click join us, and join the Discord server where you can submit questions and be involved in the call-in show. But don't forget, you can only watch if you're a Rumble Premium member, so definitely check that out. Don't forget to also smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more, of course, is Nate Cain.
Thank you for having me.
Who are you? What do you do?
Well, I was the FBI whistleblower back in 2018 that exposed the FBI's cover-up of Hillary Clinton's crimes. They had mounds and mounds of evidence against her, and they covered it up over political reasons.
And they tried to kill you?
I don't know if it was them. I mean, could have been anybody.
But this is like deep state, because I know all the people are screaming they in the chat. Yeah, we're talking about nefarious government and untoward activities. But you had some crazy stories.
Yeah.
And we'll save it for sure. But in the Green Room episode, before we actually came in, you were talking with Chuck.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm like, that should be a movie. Like your tire almost fell off when you were driving. And
yeah.
So it should be interesting. Well, should be fun. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got Raymond hanging out.
Oh, well, what's up, friends? It's Raymond G. I'm happy to be here. I am your local blue-collar department here at Timcast Media Group at Freedom Stand. So I look forward to hearing about your adventures. Mr. Phil, how you doing?
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and counter-revolutionary. Let's go.
Here's the story from the Hill, ladies and gentlemen. DOGE is in the IRS. I love this headline.
Love it.
Democratic senator, quote, DOGE is now at the IRS. The funny thing is, Democrats have now been put in a position where they're going to have to go to the American people and defend the IRS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what they've been doing. They're put into a position where they actually are defending the bureaucracy. They're defending wasteful spending. They're defending ridiculous government programs.
Endless wars, all of it.
And it's all because they have, since Donald Trump came onto the political scene, their entire modus operandi has been Donald Trump is bad. Anything that Donald Trump wants, we're against. I mean, it's become a caricature, but it's actually the way they behave.
Yep.
No matter what he says, good or bad, everything that's beautiful. Hey, Donald Trump just cured cancer. They're going to hate it.
Deborah the other day was asking, why is Trump prioritizing these actions against like USAID and the government and all this stuff? Yeah. And she said there's things that are more pressing to the American people, like the price of eggs. She's not wrong, but if Trump does not, the easy answer is if Trump doesn't go up against the bureaucratic machine and deal with the resources they use to elect their shill candidates, then it's never going to stop. But it's also masterfully political in that for the longest time, we've known Democrats have just been whatever Trump is, they're the opposite. And that works to a certain degree. If Trump says something like, well, I enjoy pancakes for breakfast, they say, look, everybody knows waffles are better. Well, when those kind of arguments happen, there's an argument to be made. And it's not, I shouldn't be so silly. Let's be serious. When an argument happens where Trump says this war would never have started if I was the president and Ukraine and Russia should stop fighting, the Democrats argue, yes, but the problem with, cessation of hostilities is that Russia's going to move in. There was an argument to be made. Trump has now made a masterful political move, whether intentionally or otherwise. Sometimes I think Trump really does slip on a banana peel and do a backflip. But with Elon Musk going into the IRS, so you start with USA. It's just, I kind of feel like it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's an accident. You start with something like USAID. No one really knows what it is. And you creep your way in and start saying, look at all these ridiculous programs. Yeah. The average American who's actually listening, not the weird NPCs, are going to see, gender study puppet shows in Peru, whatever it is was going on. And they're going to say, yeah, why are we spending money on that? I don't care how much money it is. Don't spend it. Then after the story, simmers a little bit, ruminates, you then go into the IRS. This is the Babylon Bee prophecy. Do you guys remember when the Babylon Bee wrote the article that said, ingenious move, Trump comes out in support of impeachment, forcing Democrats to oppose?
Yeah.
It's the Babylon Bee has gotten it right over and over again. And now where we are, DOGE has gone to the IRS. There's not, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. If a poll ever came out showing favorability for the IRS, it's fake. It's just literally fake. Even if the IRS was a bunch of like cherubic small children handing out candy bars, everybody knows when they take money from your paycheck, they're angry about it, and so is everybody else. Of course. So to simplify and just wrap this up, Trump has now put Democrats in the position of being angry that Trump would dare go after the people who steal your money.
Unbelievable.
And I'm being a bit facetious with the steal your money, but I know our libertarian friends are screaming taxation is theft.
I mean, look, I've been pretty clear about my opinion that taxation is theft, considering the fact that the only reason the dollar has value nowadays is the demand that taxation is, right? So the reason that fiat currencies have a value is because the issuing government requires that you pay taxes in that currency. So there's a demand for dollars so you can pay your taxes. And otherwise, and what they do with those dollars is they just destroy them. Your dollars don't go to pay for anything. When they want to fund something, they just print the money for it. Dollars are the taxation is used in conjunction with interest rates in order to mediate inflation. That's it. So they're literally taking your money so that way there is less money in circulation. It is directly theft.
That's literally correct. And it gets way more complicated.
Sure.
So there's a bunch of different facets of this. The truth is, if we get into how it actually functions, they spent your money before they took it, and then take it from you and burn it.
Yep.
So when they issue debt, for instance, right? When they print money, they know, hey, it's gonna get hot with the money supply is expanding. It's fractional reserve or it's quantitative easing. The money supply is expanding too rapidly. The government's gonna use that to pay down its debt, to fund programs, war, whatever it might be. Then, with too much money in circulation, they take from you and they destroy those dollars, or they try to remove them from circulation. This is modern monetary theory, and the craziest thing about it is the ways in which government produces value and money is insane. The national debt is largely owed to the American people. I'll keep it real simple. I'll try to keep it simple here. When the debt ceiling gets raised, what they're basically saying is, hey, we're going to fund, air quotes, a new bridge. What does that mean to fund it? It means they're going to go to a contractor and they're going to say, how much to build the bridge? They say $50 million. They say, okay, we promise we'll pay you. That's funding the bridge. The debt then goes up by 50 million plus interest, and then they basically just pay the interest while not paying the debt. You combine that with USAID and all of the fraudulent waste and abuse. It is the U.S. government hemorrhaging money. And another way to put it would be the Titanic literally sinking and taking on water.
Well, this USAID thing, one of the things that's kind of interesting is I've noticed there's been a lot of videos that people have been posting talking about this, talking about all the wasteful spending of their own tax dollars. They feel this as a personal thing.
Yeah.
And you see people talking about it over and over again. So this is galvanizing people who probably didn't vote for Trump, or people who maybe didn't vote for him in the first election. It's galvanizing those voters to him now, because you're right. It has put these Democrats in a position of having to defend something that's indefensible.
Yeah.
The IRS collected more than $4.9 trillion in gross revenue in the fiscal year of 2022. That is a substantial amount of money for them to be taken from the American people with our taxes, and they're just giving it to the government to let them spend 9.4 or 4.9 trillion.
Well, especially when you got people down in South Carolina that are still homeless.
Yes.
I don't know how Democrats are going to win in the midterms on the "We Defend the IRS" platform.
It's incredible that they're going with that line. They are doing their best. If you're going to be fair, they are doing their best to stray away from that. It's just they're trying to say that Musk is stealing from the people, so that way he can give to his billionaire buddies, which is on its face ridiculous. Like Musk himself,
He's got more money than he needs.
Yeah, and, I mean, yes, and also like Musk isn't taking the money.
That's right.
And putting it in his own bank account. He's just auditing existing programs.
Let me read this quote. So basically, this is Ron Wyden. If you're not familiar with him, he's the guy who looked shocked in that fake photo I made. It's not okay. There's a picture of AOC about to hug somebody and her arm is out. And I cropped it, so you just see her arm out, and I said, AOC, no. And Ron Wyden is standing behind her, like making a shocked face. So
she's doing my heart goes out to you?
Yeah, it really does look like it. But she was just hugging somebody. I'm not, it was a joke. I know some people don't, a lot of Democrats thought it was real. But Ron Wyden said, he's sounding the alarm. Quote, my office is hearing that DOGE is now at the IRS. That means Musk's henchmen are in a position to dig through a trove of data about every taxpayer in America. And if your refund is delayed, they could very well be the reason. Holy crap. Can I just, my friends, each and every one of you listening at home, please heed these words. The refund the government has that belongs to you was taken from you wrongly. That's why it's a refund. It means you gave them more than you needed to.
Yep.
So when he's saying, well, now it's going to be delayed, it's Elon's fault. No, the government is taking more of your money than they're legally allowed to do. And then every year they give it back and people act happy about it.
That is an interest-free loan that you are giving to the government.
Yes.
It is better to hold on to that money yourself,
but it's
pay the amount that you're supposed to, hold on to that money yourself and put it into a
not easy to do. Not easy to do, man.
Fair enough.
I remember back in like 2014 or whatever, I was paying my taxes. It was 2015, actually. I was paying my 2015 taxes. And I did everything I was told to do by my accountant. And this is back when I just had a regular salary and was an employee at a company. And at the end of the year, they're like, you owe $7,000.
Whoa.
And I was like, oh, what? That's like all of my savings. And they were like, well, you filed your forms wrong or something. And I was like, Oh, bro. So for the average person, if you make a mistake and you end up owing at the end of the year, that can put you in the poorhouse.
Yep.
So this country functions by taking more of your money you need, especially to buy eggs. And at the end of the year, you cross your fingers and hope you gave the government enough, and maybe they'll be nice enough to give you some back.
You know, there's something that Wyden is hinting out here that I think is important to note. You know, he's saying that this may slow down you getting your check. And I'm already seeing this where you've got federal employees that basically are kind of on a working strike. They're slowing down their work. They're intentionally doing things that they shouldn't be doing or not doing things that they should be doing. There was some whistleblowers at the FBI recently just came out talking about how there was reprisal that was going on where they were basically denying people their clearances and things like that, or having their clearances drop. And I was talking to a field security officer who was telling me, or a facility security officer that was telling me that that's exactly what they've seen going on. Like they've never seen this in their 20 years career, and now they're seeing all of a sudden all these problems with people's clearances. I think that this is going to be their tactic against Trump. They're going to try to slow down the federal government every which way they can to make it impossible for them.
I'm just having a good time with the IRS stuff, guys. I hope, look, we've seen nothing just yet, but there's a lot of speculation that the waste, fraud, and abuse we find at the IRS is going to result in, let's just say, when they start cutting back these things, you should get more money. I'm hoping that they go into the IRS and they uncover. Well, actually, I'll put it this way. I hope they go in and they find everything's perfect. And they're being honest, and the IRS is treating everybody well. But I guarantee you it's not. And I'm going to lay out this scenario for you guys. We talked about it when Biden and the Democrats were adding, 87,000 new IRS agents.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. They claimed we're only raising taxes on people who make $400,000 a year or more. What ended up happening? I called it. What's going to happen when they add those 87,000 agents is that you're going to get a bill in the mail. They started scrutinizing all transactions over $600, claiming we're only raising taxes on wealthy people, but they were scrutinizing transactions on poor people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So here's how it works for the IRS. They want to increase their revenue and make more money. They're going to send you a letter in the mail. One day, you're going to open up your mail. It's going to say you owe $273.91. Official letter from the IRS. And you're going to say, well, I have no means of fighting that. I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's wrong. I had a couple friends tell me last year when all this was going on, it happened to them. They complained. They were not well off. So one friend of mine ended up owing like 1,000 something. And so he was like, yo, that's an insane amount of money. Get a letter from the IRS saying you owe this money. And so he fought it, and it turned out the IRS was wrong. But what happens when they send out those bills for $25, $50, $100? Yep. And some working class Joe is like, I can't afford to hire a lawyer or dispute this. This is the issue with getting a speeding ticket, right? A lot of people get tickets every day. Maybe they weren't speeding. And they say, go tell it to a judge. Like, yo, I can't take a day off work to go to court because you're trying to take $100 from me. Yep. It's a lose-lose no matter what. This is what the IRS is doing. And I'm willing to bet that when Elon Musk's DOGE team goes in there, they're going to find that the IRS, here's what I think it'll be. Not that they're intentionally overcharging Americans and sending out all of these bills, but that their review process to determine whether or not an American owes money is so scrambled and lax. I'm willing to bet the IRS approves all monetary demands. Some low-level IRS agent says, I looked at some guy's PayPal. He had $700 in it. I think he owes us $50. And his boss goes, rubber stamp out the door. That guy better pay us or else. I bet that's what he finds.
And you also got to think about whether they're doing evil or not, the people who are asking out for the bills, the penalties. They're including penalties and interest accrued. So no matter what you have, they're going to add more money to that. If you're a day late, 30 days late, 40 days late, they're going to keep on adding and adding as much as they can.
Yo, Phil said it's an interest-free loan you're giving to the government, but when you underpay, they demand that interest back.
Absolutely.
It's
incredibly unfair.
I like the stories about the samurai and the Bushido, honor and integrity.
Yeah.
The warriors that refuse to fight unfair. It's death before dishonor, all that stuff. America has become so dishonorable. I'm sorry. The functions of government, the American government.
Bureaucrats. Yes.
Yep.
It's completely unfair. And the idea that these are supposed to be agencies that exist for the betterment of the American people, and yet they intentionally make your life more difficult. The IRS knows how much you owe. They know exactly how much you owe, and yet you have to go and pay a third party to figure it out. Why can't they just send you why can't they just say, hey, this is how much you owe? Why can't they? Why won't they? Why is it that it's incumbent on the American people, the individuals, to go and find a third party and pay that third party to do all the paperwork when the federal government knows?
It's obvious. It's because some people don't file their income taxes properly and they overpay.
Yeah.
The fact that there are services advertising, and it's funny because we're getting close to tax season too, services saying, we'll get you the maximum refund. Right. The U.S. government knows that tons of people are eligible for more money. They overpaid. And if they make a mistake, here's what's funny. If you make a mistake and overpay, they have smiles on their faces. If you make a mistake and underpay, you're getting a fine and a penalty.
Yes.
They have a literal police force of their own with fully automatic weapons, which you're not allowed to own.
Remember when the IRS ordered like millions of rounds of
ammo.
pallets?
There was a literal shortage on green tip 5.56, which is what's used in your average AR-15 M16 style rifle, because the federal government ordered pallets and pallets and pallets for all of the policing agencies. And keep in mind, the FDA has a policing agency in case you're trying to sell raw milk. These agencies are do not exist to help the American people at all.
And when Elon said we should refund $740 million from the consumer, protection, whatever, all the Democrats were like, "Oh no, now the banks are going to rip us all off." It's like these systems of governance have not been helping Americans. And the instances where they sometimes do, it's only to put on the facade that they're actually functioning for helping Americans. It's become bloat and corruption. I do want to jump to this next story. Before I do, give a shout out to Lurch in the Super Chat who said HR 25 introduced repeals the income tax in the IRS. This story was January 29th. Resolution to abolish federal income taxes introduced in House committee. They're not going to do anything with it. So, but it is fun that they're trying. This is Buddy Carter from Georgia introduced H.R. 25 earlier this month to the White House Ways and Means Committee to promote freedom, fairness, and economic opportunity by repealing the income tax and other taxes, abolishing the Internal Revenue Service, and enacting a national sales tax to be administered primarily by the states. But let's entertain this. I completely agree with abolishing the income tax. You go back in time, and it was supposed to be only on the ultra wealthy and only like 1%. And then if you look right after World War II is when it jumps up and basically everybody now has to do the taxes, file, get your government number and all that stuff. I'm a fan of tariffs to fund the government, as Trump has pointed out, and a sales tax. I don't think a tariff-only system is completely feasible because I don't know that we generate enough. The idea being that foreign countries would need us as customers and thus those taxes would help fund the government. Maybe Trump makes the point that we were very wealthy when we were operating this way. But I think a national sales tax, you get your money when it's paid to you, you put it in your pocket. When you want to buy something, that's your choice. That's where we get the taxes.
Some kind of consumption tax, I think, isn't a bad idea.
Because then you can save.
That's fair.
Then you don't get penalized for saving money. You don't get penalized.
Or investing.
Exactly, for investing.
Yeah.
And that right there, that's a great point, Tim. If you are not penalized for investing, that's actually helping the economy in multiple ways because it's investing in businesses in the United States.
Yeah. But Phil, how will the government front money for war, military-industrial complex, and other ridiculous expenditures like gender studies in Pakistan if they can't just spend the money and then take it from you later?
Well, I mean... so hypothetically, having a consumption tax as opposed to an income tax doesn't change the way that money gets into the system, or doesn't necessitate a change in the way that money gets into the system. There could still be a Federal Reserve. And not saying that I endorse this, because I would love to see an audit of the Fed. I would love to see like actual money that's backed up by something other than nuclear weapons and by a tax scheme. But that does not, having a consumption tax does not automatically mean that there isn't a central bank, doesn't automatically mean that there isn't still the Federal Reserve that prints money when the Congress writes a bill. All of that stuff could, in theory, still be in place, but instead of having your income taxed, you have a national consumption tax that maybe it would adjust depending, like the way that the interest rate adjusts. Compare, the cost of borrowing money. Maybe the federal consumption tax adjusts depending on the needs of the government to manage inflation.
Should it be federal or should we keep it state?
No, it has to be federal because the states don't issue the currency.
Yeah.
We like our armed forces.
Yes.
We want to make sure that these guys get paid.
Amen.
Have you guys ever argued economics with let's just call it a more prominent leftist?
No, that sounds.
What is Serge
awful.
considered?
Oh, it is. But, see, here's the thing. If you're talking to someone who's not very learned on the issue, like, say, Kyle Kalinske, who thinks Elon Musk has cash and doesn't know what a farm looks like, I hate to be mean to the guy, but he's really gone off his rocker as of late. But
yes,
he used to be so nice. But I've actually spoken with the more learned leftist individuals who I would put them in the category of willfully lying. You've got the people who just don't know what they're talking about, and then you have people who are willfully lying. And the argument made by many of these individuals, one example would be AOC's policy proposals as it pertains to universal health care, deficit spend.
Yep.
The way she's described it, and lightly, but when you combine this with the more prominent thinkers on the progressive leftist side, the argument they make is that the U.S. economy is so massive that it's not negatively impacted by mass spending and hyperinflation the way it used to be. So when you look at smaller nations with limited resources compared to the United States, hyperinflation is rapid. There's only a handful of factories, there's only a handful of food suppliers, only a handful of farmers. The United States is ridiculous. It's effectively 50 countries relative to how history used to be, say in like Europe. Their argument is if the U.S. government were to manifest right now $1 trillion and put that in a coffer to pay doctors to perform healthcare services on individuals, the money would enter the system in such a way that hyperinflation would not happen. Most people would not realize, and people consume so rapidly, savings are immaterial to the argument. They're literally calling for deficit spending and hyperinflation because so long as there is a monopoly on violence, it won't matter anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and these people, if you're dealing with leftists, they don't believe in a capitalist system anyways. So anything that might bring about a more consolidation of power in the federal government and less power to private industry is a good thing for them. So if they can get the entire healthcare, all healthcare providers to be funded by the government, then that's a win to them because then they get not only do they have the ability to say, oh, look, we give healthcare for free, we've got Medicare for all, but they also have the ability to ration healthcare and decide who doesn't get it.
That's right.
Which is whether or not they want to admit it, that's exactly what they want. And COVID is evidence of that. These same people were saying, oh, if you don't listen and do this, then if you don't get the vaccination, then we're not going to take care of you when you get sick. Well, if you don't obey, then you're not going to be able to access.
You wouldn't even have a job in some cases.
Well, it was pretty dark when Jimmy Kimmel said that these people should not be denied health care services.
COVID was it.
You had the former governor of California saying, screw your freedom.
Yeah. COVID was a gift to the American people because it really
woke us up.
Pulled back it opened everyone's eyes to what the government does.
It was a trial balloon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the policies that they wanted to enact, I think they were testing the American people's tolerance for these things. If you look at the ideas, like I'm pretty sure AOC has proposed publicly deficit spending for healthcare. What that basically means is you can't save money. They want you to live in a world of paycheck to paycheck, direct to consumer. Look, it's simple. They want you to line up with your ledger because you get 1 carton of eggs per week. This is all leads in one direction to what we call a command economy, where there is a centralized authority that determines how and when you can buy things and how you buy it. Now, obviously, the ledger system, where you get your little book, you show up and then they stamp it and say, no more eggs for you for the week. Well, that didn't work. They have other means of doing it. You can look at how the Chinese Communist Party does it. You can have a trade medium, a currency, and allow people to buy things, but you dramatically restrict how the money is developed. Take a look at what we're seeing now. I've been going off on West Virginia. They call these the Uber laws. 34 states have what they call Uber laws, where you cannot be an independent contractor anymore. It used to be in this country that if you were a person, just a person, you could walk up to another person and say, got any work I can do? Famous old movies where the young man is traveling, he's got the stick with the napkin, and he comes up to a farmer and says, I'm just traveling on my way to West, but I need some work. And the guy says, I got some work you can do. I can pay you only a little bit. And he says, works for me. Can't do it anymore. When the Uber laws came out, they're going to have you living in the pod and eating the bugs. 34 states basically say that we don't know how to determine whether or not you're actually an independent contractor, so we're basically making it extremely difficult, effectively illegal. What happens? The easy way to understand it, in California, let's say that you are an individual who writes articles. You have 3 clients. You write news, sports, and video games. But there's 3 different news outlets that buy from you. Based on the law that California passed, the moment you write 30 articles for one company, they must hire you as an employee. But guess what? That means you can't work with the other companies. What happens? They say, look, we only have you doing 3 articles per week. We're not going to hire you. Dropped. No more client. The next company says the same thing. Dropped. They all lost their job. Thousands of writers in California lost their jobs. West Virginia did the exact same thing because they don't want to be bothered to deal with tax enforcement. They want to put it on you, so they effectively make it illegal for an individual to work. Now, they don't claim that's the case. They say, no, of course you can be an independent contractor. And then the moment you hire one, you get an audit, you get scrutinized, and they tell you can't do it. It's illegal. This is how they're going to get you to live in the pod and eat the bugs. You're not going to be able to work. You're going to have to go work for the corporation. When COVID happened, mom and pop shops were shut down, but Walmart and Amazon and Target, they were allowed to operate. Need a job? Those are the only places that are offering. Good luck. You're going to have to go work for them. They're only going to pay you a set amount. Look at what the left was proposing with everything they had. Remember the CEO of Reddit? When she said we will no longer allow people to negotiate salaries? Because of the pay disparity between men and women, men are more likely to negotiate, women aren't. We're going to make it so that no matter what, you can't negotiate. If you want to work here, it's going to be this flat salary. Thank you and have a nice day. This is the world they want to build. The only way to get a job is the approved corporation the government allows to be open. They have to pay you $500 a week. Sorry, we're not allowed to pay you more. You can't negotiate. Everyone gets paid a flat amount. And then we deficit spend, but don't worry because the government will capture and control the currency. You will never have a savings. You will only have just enough to get by.
I mean, the idea that the government does not, or there are not significant forces in the government that would like nothing better than to have absolute control over every aspect of your life. If you think that's not true, then I don't think that I can actually relate to you in any way.
Then I've got a bridge.
Wasn't there a group of people that had a revolution over taxes about 200 years ago?
3%.
Well, to be fair,
2%.
Taxes was just one component of the grievances.
You're right.
There were very many, such as effectively waging war, capturing citizens, sleeping in their homes, etc. Let's jump to this next story from ABC News. The Democrats outraged that Elon Musk dare challenge the IRS. 14 states sue DOGE, blasting Musk's unprecedented power as unconstitutional. The suit says Musk's role violates the Appointments Clause of the Constitution. It doesn't. We've been over this. Ian, a regular on this show, either rolls 1s or 20s as it goes. And for those who don't know what that means, it means when you roll a 1 in Dungeons and Dragons, it's critical failure. When you roll a 20, it's critical success. For all of his faults, Ian was terrified, saying Elon Musk is a de facto administrator who's never confirmed, actually did the research, came back and said, I was wrong. Trump is allowed to hire Elon Musk for 130 days as a special government employee. He can keep working at his companies. This has actually been happening since the 60s. It is actually a routine. And so Ian, the guy who wants to pardon Hillary Clinton, said, no, actually, Elon's fine here. Well, Democrats aren't having it. They say, led by the state of New Mexico, the lawsuit argues, in often dramatic terms, that the Appointments Clause of the Constitution calls for someone with such significant and expansive authority as Musk to be formally nominated by the president and confirmed by the U.S. Senate. There is no greater threat to democracy than the accumulation of state power in the hands of a single unelected individual. The suit was filed by New Mexico Attorney General Raul Torres and officials from Arizona, Michigan, Maryland, Minnesota, California, Nevada, Vermont, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Oregon, Washington, and Hawaii. Although our constitutional system was designed to prevent the abuses of an 18th century monarch, the instruments of unchecked power are no less dangerous in the hands of a 21st century tech baron. 2 of the 14 states are led by Republican governors. Oh,
Really?
wow. Heavens, Republican ones. Sure. Not that it means much. This is completely ridiculous. Elon Musk isn't actually doing anything. I'm sorry, guys. I got to tell you, as much as we want to praise Elon and talk about how we love DOGE, the reality is all Elon is doing is pointing the finger and saying, hey, Trump, look at that. And then Trump goes, gone. Hey, Trump, take a look at that one. Trump goes, gone. Trump is the one making all the decisions. Elon is effectively just consulting, and the DOGE employees are government employees who are entitled to do what they're doing.
Yep. The left has been trying their best to say, oh, hey, there is a co-president, Elon Musk, is actually the guy running the show. And the reason they're doing that is because they're trying to get Donald Trump to get upset in the hopes that Donald Trump would say, well, I need to get rid of Elon Musk because he's blah, blah, blah. Donald Trump is not the same guy that he was from 2016 to 2017 to 2020. He was surprised that he won in 2016, 17. He didn't expect to. He thought that he wasn't going to win. And then afterwards, he had this whole, I mean, I know the guy's supremely confident and he's used to winning. I really do think that the 4 years when he was out of the office of the presidency, there was a lot of soul searching that Donald Trump went through. Any human being would go through that. And he has come back. Now he is way more confident because he did have that absolute undeniable victory. He saw the shift in the country. He knows that he won. And so they're not going to be able to get, I don't believe that they're going to be able to get under his skin the way that they're trying to. I think it's a waste of time.
The Incredible Hulk. Trump in his first term was, please don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. And then Biden's term was them making him very angry, trying to put him in prison. And now he's just smashing through everything. I love it.
Thankfully.
And he doesn't have to get elected again.
The Democrats don't understand that us as the right are not them. We are not one monolith. We can get angry and yell at each other. We can have our tiffs and bouts. But if we're not like a lemmings going off a cliff. We're able to argue with each other and have a good and work things out, and then in the end we can work, and then in the end we can come to a great agreement on the great ideas that we're going to come to.
I'm looking forward to the IRS stuff. Really, I mean, USAID is one thing. This is slush fund for NGOs.
It's small potatoes, right?
I mean, it is. I mean, what is their budget's like 60 billion?
Yeah.
Is it 60 billion? Yeah, 60 billion.
Not much.
And so in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't, I think we're looking at like a yearly budget of 7 trillion. So there's a lot to go through. It's good they're doing it.
Yes.
The IRS is where it gets interesting. This is where they're taking money from the American people. And this is the other side of that coin. We can mock and we can joke about how USAID is funding garbage and shut it down to save money. But then we've got to take a look at how, first of all, the deficit spending, increasing the debt, accruing debt, the creation of money, and how they're taking money from the American people. You get that big picture. Here's how they're taking your money, and here's how they're doing it wrongly, which I assume they are, and here's how they're wasting your money. Let people see the actual numbers.
Normans are going to flip their minds. It's like the whole he's for you and she's for they them. Normans didn't like that. Normans aren't going to like the IRS taking their
The midterm's going to be crazy. The midterms are going to be like Donald Trump audited the IRS and found out they were stealing your money. Democrats want to protect the IRS.
Yep.
That's it.
There it is. That is it right there.
Dude, imagine the kind of person that would defend the IRS. I guarantee you right now.
Raskins.
Oh, the Krasensteins on X right now are saying, listen, I know that we don't like getting taxed, but the IRS does perform a service the American people need. And it's just like, nope.
No.
I don't like seeing my paycheck, and you don't either.
You have to be completely ideologically possessed, and it has to go beyond reasonable political leanings. It has to be ideological possession to be in favor of the IRS.
Nate, can I ask you how old you are?
49.
49. Do you remember the very first paycheck you ever got?
Yeah.
And do you remember your reaction to it?
Yeah, I was excited.
Even though when you looked at the
oh, well, the first time. Okay, so you got to understand, the first paycheck I got was under the table. And that's because so this is the problem with what you were talking about, happening here in West Virginia. Those laws only encourage people to pay, people under the table, because why in the heck would you, be in a situation? I mean,
well, we lost 3 people because of it.
Yeah.
The state basically required the individual to create a business. It's $800 to expedite. Otherwise, you're taking a month off.
Yep.
You need, depending on where you live, you need a registered agent in the state, and then you have to open a bank account. And so we had a handful of people be like, "Hey, look, man, I don't do enough work to consider that." So, that was it.
I had to pay payroll taxes.
Oh yeah.
For my daughter, and get unemployment insurance for her.
Well, so what about the rest of y'all's? Were your first paychecks under the table?
Go ahead.
Negative. I was KFC. I mean, my very first one was I worked for. I was like 7 years old, a young kid working for a newspaper. But a real job, I worked for KFC, and it wasn't under the table. So,
what about you?
I loved $125 a week. I was super pumped.
My first actual job was at a pizza joint, so that was not under the table. I was getting paid, and taxes were a complete drag. It wasn't.
Now watch. I'll
became
probably
a
get
libertarian
audited now because I said that.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 43 years.
Yeah, right?
I worked
years
at I worked at a Portillo's in Chicago.
Not the mom and pop coffee shop.
Well, that's my family business.
Wait, you didn't
I didn't
get
get a paycheck.
Okay.
I got tips.
Okay.
You work in the family business, you don't get paid. You got to do what you got to do for your family.
Amen.
But when I turned 16, I got hired at a Portillo's in Chicago, and I was counting my hours because I needed money. And so I was like, okay, so this week I did 36 hours, and they're paying me, it was like, I don't know, $7.75 an hour or whatever. And I was like, all right. And then the paycheck came, and I opened it up, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And then the manager started laughing. And he was like, first paycheck, kid? And I was like, why is it so low? And he's like, go to the withholding section. And I was like, I just spent the whole week here counting out. I knew taxes would come out, but this is way more than that. And they're like, nope.
You didn't figure 30%, did you?
It was,
If not more.
they tell you it's going to be less because you're making only a little bit of money, but then they take out a huge chunk.
Yep.
I was just giddy to get money in general. I was like, let's
Now,
go.
the first check that I had, though, that was like that, I remember asking tons of questions like, what is this? What is that? There were all these, and of course, that was in California for me, so there were all of these taxes that were in there, and I couldn't figure, what half of that stuff was, but it was about 50% of my check.
Yeah.
And you probably got
So
for state
let's
school.
I kind of feel like Trump's setting up Democrats. Trump wants to win the midterms. He doesn't want to get impeached. He's he's getting.
so.
I mean, maybe it's too soon. You got to wait, Trump. You should have gone. DOGE should have went to the IRS 1 month before the election.
I'm sure there's plenty for him to go through between now and then.
Oh yeah.
I mean, wait till they get to the Pentagon.
And Pete Hegseth is there, and so he's like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm excited. But
They're
also
going to be open
Medicaid
kimono.
and Medicare and Social Security. Imagine what's going to happen when they come out and they say to all of our Social Security recipients, you should be getting $100 more per month. Okay. But here's where they've been dumping the money. Imagine when they find mismanagement, wasted budget, and these gross expenditures where people actually need that funding.
Didn't DHS just do like a $52 million clawback? I think this was like yesterday.
Yeah, from the money they sent to the FEMA to the illegals.
Yep.
So wait till they start doing clawbacks on a lot of this.
Shout out Secretary Noem.
It would be wonderful to see a significant return when it comes to money they've.
They should do a clawback and they'd be, hey, you know what, folks? No taxes this year.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have some breaking news from, was this on Laura Ingram's show just an hour ago?
I believe it
Tom
was.
Homan saying AOC going to jail.
What? That's exciting.
I'm clickbaiting by saying that. No. It's effectively what he said. Let me play the clip and then we can get the real context. AOC has commented on this.
But Tom, you got AOC out there, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman, putting out a webinar, doing a webinar to help illegals avoid, I guess, apprehension, giving tips about how to continue to remain in the country and ultimately game the system.
And I sent an email today to the Deputy Attorney General. At what level is that impediment? Is that impediment? I'm not an attorney. I'm not a prosecutor. Is that impediment? Is that impeding our law enforcement efforts? If so, what are we going to do about it? Is she crossing the line? So I'm working with the Department of Justice and finding out where is that line that they cross. So maybe AOC is going to be in trouble now, but I need the AOG to opine on that. But because there's impediment is impediment, in my opinion. I'm not a prosecutor, but we need some further guidance on that. But again, if we have to take every federal dollar out of the city, we'll do it. I mean, we're done. This is anymore.
So AOC has responded with the SpongeBob meme text. Maybe she's going to be in trouble now. Maybe he can learn to read. The Constitution would be a good place to start. Let me give you the gist of this, my friends. AOC held a webinar where she was AOC hosted a webinar, but never showed up. The intention of the webinar was to provide information to illegal immigrants on how to evade law enforcement. Why did she not show up? Well, Fox News was roasting her for announcing and promoting this webinar her office was going to do, but then not being there. AOC didn't show up because she knew there was legal exposure in this. We have been talking about this for the past couple of weeks since Trump got elected. At what point are these Democrats breaking the law, violating? This is Title 8 U.S. Code 1324. This is immigration law, and that's Section A, subsection 4, which is encouragement and inducement to reside illegally or enter illegally these United States. Yep. At a certain point, it's kind of obvious that's what they're doing. Yeah, so when AOC sits up a meeting saying, here's how we can get you to stay here illegally and evade law enforcement, that is encouragement. But AOC doesn't show up.
Yeah, we discussed this last night because, and I was saying that, I think it was in the context of Ilhan Omar, actually, was the conversation last night. And it's my belief or my opinion that because of the fact that it's Congress people that are doing this, right? So AOC herself, she didn't show up, but Ilhan Omar was speaking to Somali, I believe, asylum seekers or migrants or whatever you want to call them, illegals. And she was speaking to them in Somali, and she was telling them, this is how these are the rights you have, and you can avoid talking to the police like by doing this, and you don't have to talk to the police. And she was explaining these to them. It implies, because of her position as a congressperson, it implies authority. It implies what you can do. I'm telling you what to do, and this is what you should do. And I'm telling you this as a congressperson. Like that should matter. If an average person was saying that, then maybe it's not an inducement to break the law, right? Maybe it's just saying, look, this is something you should know. But because of the fact that it's a congressperson saying it, that implies the position of authority implies this is what you can do legally. It implies that they're telling them a true thing that is a legal way for them to avoid for them to come to the United States.
I know I'm wasting my time by asking this question, but I want to ask it anyway. Do you think AOC should be criminally charged for encouragement, inducement, or impediment to law enforcement? Give us a 1 in chat for yes and a 2 in chat for no. I know everyone's going to put 1.
I bet no. No twos.
The reason I ask this is to ask the panel here. Nate, I'll ask you. Do you think AOC or any Democrat should be criminally charged if they're impeding law enforcement or encouraging criminal immigration?
Hey, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
So that's yes?
Yes.
I say yes.
I'm biased, so.
I assume it's a yes from everybody.
Of course.
I mean, someone put 1.5. Okay. Still 1. Yeah, it's true. Well, it does round up.
The law's the law.
Well, the issue here's the issue I have.
If they had done it from the House floor, then they could probably get away with it.
Yeah, because of the speech and debate clause or whatever.
Outside of the House of Congress,
Good call.
I do see some 7. That's the wrong number. A 3. What are you guys doing? So here's the issue I see. It is illegal to do this. And if you go back to 2008, there's this video where Hillary Clinton is talking about building a border barrier. Bernie Sanders is talking about securing the border. Democrats were like, nobody's on board with illegal immigration. But over the past 10 or so years, it has become commonplace among Democrats to advocate literally breaking the law, advocating for illegal immigration. It became normalized. Now they're all doing it. No one is saying anything about it. We cannot just accept that they've normalized this. We can't sit back and say, well, I know it's a federal crime to do this, but we shouldn't enforce against it because it would be a step too far. They stepped too far when they began breaking the law and encouraging illegal activity. If we do not, and what does this mean? Oh, they get a fine. You'll get a 30-day court supervision and a $50 fine. Don't do it again. And then if they do it again, we ramp it up and we say, look, we are going to enforce against this. I don't think AOC should go to jail for putting on a webinar, but I think she should get a fine of $100 and they should say, don't do it again, court supervision. Otherwise, it just keeps getting worse.
If we're the party of the law and order, we need to establish and follow through with our law and order.
Yeah, I mean, I made the point the other day that, you know, Congress, there are multiple ways to reprimand Congress people. Censure's been all but forgotten about. And it is actually, you know, it doesn't have significant ramifications, but it does go into the record that, you know, into the Library of Congress. This person broke the rules. They behaved poor. They behaved in an unlawful way, and we censured them for it. It's probably worth doing, in my opinion. And they don't do it anymore. Because a lot of the reason is because Congress doesn't want to seem like they're siding against Congress. The Senate is definitely, if you look at Marco Rubio is the only guy that got a super majority of votes in the Senate, and it's because he's a senator.
Do you guys remember perp walks?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Man, those were the days, huh?
That's bringing the shame back.
You know, when the Democrats,
Shame is a good thing.
When the Democrats changed their opinion on illegal immigration, it all started in 1993. And the reason why is there's somebody significant within the Democrat Party that died in 1993, Cesar Chavez. He used to go down to the border and whip guys coming across the border and send them back to Mexico because of the fear of what it was going to do to the wages of American workers.
But
And what they did, the other thing that happened in 1993 was Congress passed the National Voter Registration Act, which basically forced DMVs to start allowing people to register, or actually, forced them to allow them to register to vote at the DMV. And the very first state in U.S. history, the state of Washington, allowed illegal immigrants to get driver's licenses. And it started growing from there.
There's another piece of the puzzle, and that is Ronald Reagan in California offering up amnesty to illegal immigrants, creating a voting generation that had an interest in the previous generation, who was not American, having access to public funds. So you can actually read about how the chain of events occurred. There's a bunch of illegal immigrants. Ronald Reagan says, okay, we're going to grant them amnesty, or like we're going to give them sanctuary. We're going to pass a bill where, they can live and reside. And what ends up happening with this, this actually might have been in the 90s. I could be totally screwing the story up. Ronald Reagan advocated for amnesty, which resulted in a bunch of individuals. When it came time to vote, there was a bill in the 90s that would say illegal immigrants no longer have access to public funds. All of their children, all the children of illegal immigrants, I think it was who were born here. I think that's what it was. Again, I'm flubbing this, but I think it was he let them stay. We're not going to deport. They had kids. Those kids grew up, and then when it came time to vote, those kids said, "I want to vote that my parents get access to public funds." So that's when they say that California flipped from Republican to Democrat. The moment they tried saying we're not going to give money to illegal immigrants anymore, but those illegal immigrants who had kids here who could vote said, "I'm going to vote for my parents." This is why I always tell everybody when it comes to illegal immigration, the issue is you are extracting American community. Well, I was talking to Rokana about this, and I said, an immigrant is not wrong to vote for their interests, but they are voting against the interests of the community that's been there for a long time. So the example I give is this. A man moves to an area and it's big farmland, empty fields. He builds a house. He starts selling product, and he's a young man. One by one, other people start building up businesses in the area to provide a service. And those guys get together and they say, you guys want to put a baseball field here? And they're like, let's put a baseball field here. So they all decide to pool their money. And right now the town has a residency of, it's not even a town, it's just 14 people. A generation goes by, now there are 78 people. Jobs have built up, and that park is there. That's baseball. The guy is now playing baseball with his young son. His son grows up and is now a young man of himself. The population has grown. He brings his son to play baseball. That kid grows up. There's now a town of 300-400 people, and they're like, look at this. You know, my granddad came in here and he built this place, and we've had this baseball field our whole lives. I want my kids to play in this baseball field, and you know what? It's fallen into disrepair. So he goes to a community center meeting. You know, the whole town is there, and he says, I know that we've got some extra funds. My granddad was here. He built that baseball field. Why don't we all pool our money together and use some of the tax resources we have to make that baseball field better? And all of the residents clap and cheer, except for the Haitian migrants who were moved in by Joe Biden, all 400 of them. They then say, why are we spending money on a baseball field? We have 400 migrants and refugees who need a community center, who can provide food for them. And then there's rabble, rabble, rabble. A vote is had. And a few of the residents say, look, we're Democrats and we have to help these poor migrants. So we're voting against the baseball field. It's not wrong. It's not factually incorrect. The migrants are there. They do need resources to accommodate them. The issue is when you bring in people who are not members of the community, they will vote against the interests of the community. And it's not fair to the people who planted trees whose shade they knew they would never sit beneath. What we end up with is this culture where Democrats are chopping down all the trees for quick fuel, leaving the future barren. And then you have the right, which is not just Republicans, largely not Republicans. It's MAGA, let's be honest. The Republican Party has failed miserably. But now that Trump has taken it over, these are people who are trying to plant those trees, have families, have kids, and build a society where there will be a baseball field or whatever you think it might be in the future, and it will be funded and repaired. So to put it simply, as I told Ro Khanna, you're not wrong to vote for your parents. You're not wrong to vote to say, hey, look, man, my dad needs help. But it's not fair that people come here illegally, they break our laws, and then a generation later, those children can vote against the interests of the honest, hardworking American.
Yep.
Well, this brings up the issue of birthright citizenship that Trump just did these executive order, and the courts are trying to stop it. So that's one of the issues right now that's going on, is that whether or not somebody who is born to illegal aliens is actually an American citizen, because they're not born under the jurisdiction of the United States when their parent is here illegally.
I agree. We need to get rid of birthright citizenships. It's very important. Beat this. It's going to be the end of America if we keep having these anchor babies or second generation folks coming into our world.
Well,
sorry, if they don't have our American values and they have their own values from their own country, where it's not a melting pot, we're like multicultural. It's the end. That's
the
end of America.
That's half of it, though, because it's true. We want American values, the Constitution, free speech, all the things that are enshrined in it. But that was the point I was making. When they make the argument, they're like, hey, look, some of these people who come to America really do love and believe in America. Yep. I've heard it over and over again. It's like, I know somebody who's a DACA recipient and they're big fans of Trump. And I'm like, listen, what happens is that kid is going to be presented with a vote. Mm-hmm. Will the vote benefit his parents who are not citizens, or will it benefit the community of the United States? They will vote for their parents. They should vote for their parents. It is the right thing to do to stand up for your parents. But that's the problem with extracting American community and bringing in 10 to 20 million new people, whether legally or illegally, in 4 years.
Yeah.
It's not that they're voting incorrectly. It's not they're voting morally wrong. It's they're voting against the interests of people who live here.
Yeah.
We need to go back to the 1920s where we did like a moratorium on all immigration.
It was very limited back then. It was like 7,000 deportations.
But we had Irish, Italian. No one spoke the same languages. Now they're all white folks apparently, but nobody spoke the same language and nobody got along. So they cut it off until 30, 20 years. Sagar and Jedi does great points on this, and they cut it off, and then everyone started assimilating, started speaking English, the same language, and then we brought it back.
Let's jump to this story, ladies and gentlemen. We have very good news for you today.
Hey.
RFK Jr. confirmed as Health and Human Services Secretary. It finally happened. Mitch McConnell voted against him. He voted against Tulsi Gabbard, too. This guy's awful. I just want everyone to know that I've purchased 1,000 Pop-Tarts, and today I ordered a spattering of Taco Bell. And we all enjoyed ourselves. And, I had to.
Get it before it's gone.
Exactly.
That's right.
Get it before it's gone.
Tomorrow's got to be burgers. We need some burgers.
Yeah, we'll get some McDonald's. I can do Taco Bell.
Guys,
I don't think Trump's
Right.
Trump's not going to let him get rid of McDonald's.
Right. No. But honestly, I don't think he's going to take away our cheeseburgers or anything like that.
Some
However,
of the ingredients.
Exactly. And so I'm half kidding. I got Taco Bell because I wanted it, because it was funny. Actually what happened was I made a joke on Twitter saying that I was going to buy Taco Bell, before he takes it away from us. Then I thought about it for a second, and I was like, I'm ordering Taco Bell, and then I ordered a bunch.
Did you see Mr.
was delicious.
Brett went and said, "Come and take it." He posted a "Come and take it."
Nice.
What's going to happen though is RFK Jr. is head of HHS, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, oversees the FDA, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There's going to be some changes, and I think it's going to be good. I'm curious to see how this affects the food products, but fast food is going to be different. There's a lot of weird preservatives and garbage in tons of our food, and that's going to be gone. Maybe now. We will no longer have to go to restaurants requesting a Mexican Coke. A good old American Coke will have real cane sugar in it.
Yeah.
Under RFK Jr.
I would love the idea, but I think that's going to take an end to corn subsidies because I will actually go and I'll buy. You don't think so?
No, keep going.
Oh, I will go to the grocery store and I'll buy Mexican Coke. They have it at a couple different grocery stores specifically because I do prefer the cane sugar and it is better out of a glass bottle.
I'm just saying no more corn subsidies.
I would love it. I would
That's why I
love
was
it.
shaking my head.
I would love to get rid of the corn subsidies. I would love to. There are farmers that probably are thinking I'm going to kill you for saying that. But
Corn subsidy, yeah.
Don't care.
but exactly, I'm not concerned.
You have no right to my labor.
Yep.
Like, I choose to give it to you or not. And this is the problem I have with everyone who wants an entitlement. There are certain entitlements I'm willing to concede to, right? I don't like Social Security as a system. I believe families should take care of the elderly. But I certainly don't want a bunch of destitute elderly people who can't support themselves. So gutting the system right now, not a good idea. Not a good idea. But I want to make sure it's clear that my tax dollars and my labor funding you to get free stuff, no, I'm not interested in that. If corn can't be grown for the right price, don't grow it.
Yep.
And then the problem is we end up with high fructose corn syrup and corn ethanol and all this other garbage because the government's subsidizing it. It's not worth the production. It stifles innovation.
And everyone knows that, there's tons of high fructose corn syrup in all sorts of products that don't need it or you don't want to have it in there. And there's the argument, look, don't go into the aisles, right? You do your grocery shopping in the produce department, do it in the meat department, and do it in the dairy department. But if you go into the aisles, then that's where you get into problems with the foods that you're eating. And I mean, that makes sense. There's some validity to it. But
Well, the problem is that the people that are poor,
Yeah.
they often have to go into the aisles.
Yep.
And the one thing that is going to be interesting about this is that one of the reasons why some of those products in the aisles is so cheap is because of things like corn syrup and other things that they're not having to import from Mexico or South America.
They should not be eating some of that stuff.
I agree. Well, and there's a secondary issue here too, and that is that most of these people, they end up with health problems, and then the government ends up having to pay for all those health bills, and so it is in the government's best interest to produce, or to at least make sure that we're not producing foods that are creating things like diabetes and cancer. And, when Europe has got like half of the products that are in you've got the same product. I think like one of them I saw was like Lucky Charms. There's chemicals in our version here that is not in the European version.
Yep.
Why can't they just simply get rid of some of these things that are toxic chemicals?
When we order flour and things like that.
Yeah.
I largely don't. I've actually, since I got the dental work, and the only thing I could eat was like squishy carbs. I have been eating a bit. But, Allison, when she orders, it's going to be organic imported from a foreign country because we don't trust that. It's not just the preservatives and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like the glyphosate. Pesticides and all that stuff.
Even if it's
GMOs.
organic and locally.
Yeah, and they don't even call it GMOs anymore. Now they're saying they're saying engineered foods. You've got, and I've seen this with myself. I have diabetes, and I've got to be very careful about what I eat. And I noticed that if I have a slice of bread that is just your regular, good old-fashioned American bread, spikes my blood sugar straight up. I think it's David's bread or Dave's Killer Bread, which is all organic.
That ex-convict guy.
Yeah, I can eat
plays
that.
guitar.
I can eat that stuff. Doesn't spike my blood sugar at all.
And it's probably like the whole grain.
Because it is. Well, it's not just that, but it's also organic, and there's none of that glyphosate. It's not GMO. All of that stuff it makes a difference.
Yeah. RFK Jr. is coming in. It would have been, I made the joke before the show, so I'm not going to deliver it as well. But I was just thinking how funny it would be if, like, as soon as he got sworn in, he was like, am I HHS secretary now? And they're like, yes, vaccines are banned. No more vaccines. No more. And then they're like, whoa. I'm wondering how far he's going to go with it, though. I mean, like, are we going to see dramatic heavy change, or is it going to be like a light touch where, like, Lucky Charms no longer has, yellow 5 in it?
I would love
Well,
to
I
get
think the
targeting out
research
of
is where it's going to matter.
Yeah.
I mean, all this research that gets funded right now at NIH and CDC, it's all basically designed to get a particular result, right? That pushes the narrative that they want. So if he just tackles that one issue and we actually start getting legit information, we actually start seeing what is actually happening. Is there a correlation between autism and some of these childhood vaccines? Then he won't have to do anything. The people will demand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get to the source.
Well, I mean, look, I think overall the addition of RFK to the HHS is going to be a good thing, and I think it's in multiple aspects. I've talked a lot about the fact that the refugee resettlement program, which is under HHS, and they use that to shuffle immigrant asylum seekers, they call them, but essentially anyone that comes to the U.S. illegally, and then they tell the people that are picking up. They'll come to the U.S. illegally, then they'll look for Border Patrol, and they'll say, "I'm seeking asylum," which is illegal in the first place. If you want to come if you want to legitimately come to the U.S. as an asylum seeker, you have to go to a port of entry. You can't just come across and then tell the Border Patrol, "Oh, I'm seeking asylum." But that in and of itself is a different situation. The fact that they're using HHS and American tax money to shuffle illegal immigrants around in order to change the makeup of the states that they're sending them to.
That's right.
So that way they can change the election outcome.
Yeah, even if they don't vote, and this is an important factor, even if they don't vote, it still affects apportionment.
Yep, 100%.
Because of the way that, and that's something that I do think needs to change, is the way that they are counting people for the sake of the census. And for the number of representatives that each of these states have, if they changed it, I think California would lose like 8 seats.
Oh, right.
And by the way, West Virginia would gain a seat.
Hey.
So I did the math on this because basically everything gets reapportioned, and so there's several. I think there's 14 states that would gain a seat, and you have New York. I think it was New York, Texas, Florida, California would lose some seats, but mostly California and New York.
Yeah, the estimates for California are wild. Some say it could be as low as 1 or high as 13.
Yeah, that 7 is based off of the numbers that I think it was 7 or 8 that was based off the numbers of what they know in terms of
Trump's got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, by any means that he can, constitutionally, legally, he should be saying we're going to do the census question. Whatever has to be done.
Well, Phil, what you were just talking about, though, this is part of the whole thing with the USAID, too, because that funding was going to groups like, Catholic Charities, Lutheran Charities, which basically are sending, on our tax dollar, they're sending lawyers down there to go advise these people on how to lie in order to get in, to the into the HHS program.
The USAID and people call it USAID, and that's a terrible misnomer. It's it's United States Agency for International Development. It is not an aid agency. It is about exercising American soft power abroad, and that has been turned inwards. And it has been made. It probably had started before this, but it was made overtly legal with the Smith Modernization Act of
propagandizing
2012, I believe, was the Smith Modernization Act of 2012. Obama signed that into law, which made it legal for USAID to do operations inside the United States. Prior to the Smith Modernization Act, it was illegal for USAID to operate inside the United States. That changed in 2012, and you can see the effect on the American population. The reason why the U.S. seems so polarized, or is so polarized now, and prior to 2012, people my age, I'm the same age as you, people our age know what it was like, even in the 90s.
I remember when CNN was respectable.
Yes, back when the idea of Democrats and Republicans working together for a desired result that was good for the American people, that was something that was common in the 90s. You had Bill Clinton said the age of big government is over because he got trounced in the midterms, and he had to work with Newt Gingrich. Now, you can say if you like, you can say, well, we didn't like these policies, we did like these policies. That's neither here nor there. The point is, Bill Clinton and the Clinton administration took that message that was sent to his administration by the trouncing that they got in the midterms, and he changed the policies that he was going to do. You don't see that anymore.
No, the Democrats are not learning from their mistakes.
Not at all. And that's because they had a stranglehold on USAID and the bureaucracy. USAID had turned all of the things that worked so well to fight communism internationally at the after World War II and through the whole 60s. It was all turned against the left. All of these agencies, they were used against the left. They worked phenomenally. And then when the left became ascendant, they took those same agencies and they used them against not only the right, but against the American people.
Yeah.
Let's jump to this breaking news from Variety. TikTok has returned to Apple and the Google App Stores. I would just describe this as hypocrisy. I am not a fan, but let's read. They said the tech giants had pulled TikTok from their stores because a federal law effectively banned TikTok as of January 19th. Penalties for violating the law by hosting or distributing TikTok in the U.S. are $5,000 per user, or as much as $850 billion in penalties, given TikTok's claim that it has 170 million users. As such, both Apple and Google had removed it. Trump signed an executive order instructing the U.S. Attorney General to abstain for a 75-day period from enforcing the ban. The order also instructed the AG to issue a letter to each provider stating there's been no violation of the statute, that there is no liability for any conduct as of January 19th and through the 75-day extension. According to a Bloomberg report, Attorney General Pam Bondi sent both Apple and Google letters Thursday to that effect. Likely for that reason, they have now restored these apps today, and it's wrong. I do not agree with the idea that Congress can pass a law that will just be unilaterally just not enforced on a whim to this degree. This is passed by Congress for good reason. It had bipartisan support, and then for now Donald Trump thinks that it helped him get young people. They did this stunt. Now he's saying we're not going to enforce it against TikTok. Okay, well, let me tell you guys. We started a new TikTok because we've been banned like 4 times, and they banned us again because for literally having an opinion show. Well, they give us a warning.
Okay.
So we're probably banned at any moment.
Sure.
And we don't want to not be on these platforms, but they won't let us on them. They outright said that we exist in a shared reality, and the opinions expressed on your show don't exist within it. So you are being warned. We will delete your channel. That's TikTok.
Wow.
What opinions on this show warrant that? Well, Donald Trump is defending it, and I think that's a huge mistake.
Yeah, it's terrible. The app TikTok is a method of propaganda. It's linked directly to the Chinese Communist Party. ByteDance has a CCP officer in their building. It's just like when the FBI was in Twitter.
I would argue that Facebook is no different. YouTube no different.
I agree with you in principle, but in principle, I agree with you. But at the very least, you have the recourse to be able to go to court in the U.S.
True.
with those. You can't go to court against ByteDance in the U.S. They don't have to. And also, you're not going to be able to take the Chinese government to court either. You can actually sue the American federal government if you want to, and you'll get into a court, and it's possible that you'll win. People have in the past. You're not going to sue the Chinese.
See, I thought the issue with TikTok though was that there are concerns over the collection of user information, PII, and all of that.
That's a big one. Mm-hmm. And then the argument Jimmy Kimmel made, which I'm surprised to say is a good one, is that sometimes kids grow up. And when they do, these 15-year-olds who put a whole bunch of compromising information on the platform and videos they may be embarrassed by, when they're older and they're working for, the tech industry or any company, really, China's going to have information to get access to their accounts. But the big issue, in my opinion, is that TikTok largely promotes leftist ideology. So, look, the fact that they've now told us to our faces, I should say, in a warning, that the opinions expressed on the show exist outside of their shared reality, it is obvious. We are not a far-right show by any sense of the imagination. Ro Khanna called me reasonable. Democrat guy says, oh, wow, you're fairly reasonable, huh? It's a fairly moderate show with an eclectic bunch of voices. Not a lot on TikTok. TikTok is all about the narrative machine. It's about propping up to the tunes of tens of millions of followers, people like Dylan Mulvaney, to tell kids to cut their balls off.
Yeah.
That's TikTok. Facebook and YouTube have these problems as well, but at the very least, they struggle against American culture and society, which largely protects this and resulted in the election of Donald Trump. Trump then caves and is now defending TikTok, and the assumption is it's because there's a powerful billionaire investor who started hiring a bunch of conservatives to flip on the issue. He paid him money. They caved.
Well, maybe TikTok will become less leftist now that they're not getting probably all this USAID money going to half of the people that were running shows on there.
I don't know that they're getting USAID money, but we assumed maybe because they were fearing the ban, and by Donald Trump saying we're going to protect TikTok, the censorship would stop. But we had a conservative on Deborah Leah the other day saying that she got banned 4 times. Yeah. Look, Riley, there are tons of people who flipped the moment Trump said so. He said, we like it now because young people like us. So Riley Gaines, for instance, was defending TikTok, and they're using this fake meme where they claim that Hawaii is owned by China. I don't know. It's actually nuts. There's a map where it's like, here's the bigger threat, all the farmland China owns. And it literally shows the entire island of Hawaii is owned by China. Guys, it's not real. It is fine to say that we don't like China buying farmland. Done. We'll deal with that as well. This is a separate issue. But the issue is Riley Gaines, who I respect, and has a good message, 600,000 followers on TikTok. Dylan Mulvaney, 13 million. So are we really going to play this game? We know TikTok is unaccountable, taking young people's data and largely pushing woke leftist ideas that will destabilize and destroy our culture and our country. For what reason are they defending it?
I had a huge in Discord, Timcast Discord conversation after that one time we had that nice fellow Joey on, and it was like 3 days worth of conversations, and everyone's backing TikTok because of those reasons. Like maybe it's not that bad. They're finally sharing American values. They're letting us speak. So Raymond, it's not what you think it is, Raymond, and like why it's so. My feeling, of course, is I disagree fully. I don't give a F about this. TikTok, they can go right away. Phil, what do you think?
I think that this whole issue could be solved by Meta if they would take the TikTok model, which is make sure that every single piece of content that is put on Instagram gets put into someone else's feed.
They do that.
Do they do that? Because
Instagram adopted the TikTok interest algorithm model years ago.
Did they?
I hate it.
So then why? Well, then why is it? That things on TikTok will go viral in ways that it doesn't on YouTube, on other platforms?
But what do you mean?
Well, so like you can see.
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because it doesn't. It is different. I'll give you an example. I had a TikTok video I made, and it went viral, and I think I had like over 200,000 viewers within 24 hours.
How many comments?
Never. A lot of comments. I don't know how many I got, but the thing that was crazy is I've never seen anything.
I was going to ask you that.
That's a good question.
Are they propping you up? They're propping up the right for their own purposes.
So
this was it was over a January 6th issue, which I was kind of surprised because obviously you couldn't get anything through Facebook, through YouTube, through any of the major platforms, that were in the U.S.
About 12 years ago, there was this big scandal. Actually, I don't know what, there was a lawsuit that happened. Facebook was accused of fraud. They had been claiming that views that were not views were views. So basically, people would be on Facebook. They'd scroll past a video, not actually look at it, but as soon as it turned on, view. So I remember being at a meeting with Discovery Networks. And they were saying, what do you think? You think YouTube's still going to be able to dominate? Because, man, our views on Facebook are huge. And I said, how many comments are you getting? And they're like, well, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, take a look at how many comments you get, the actual engagement. There's a ratio that would make sense. And they basically said, I don't know, man. We put up a video, we get like 10 million views on it. And we put it on YouTube, we get like 1 million. And the advertisers don't care. And I was like, yeah, okay, it sounds like those aren't actually views. And the advertisers will care after the first month when they realize they're getting no return on the money they're spending.
That's a good point.
So, sure enough, Facebook got sued over this. So the issue very well may be that the structure of TikTok and how it displays information has people convinced, wow, I'm going viral. I should use this platform instead.
That's a very good point.
Well, I mean, so TikTok does also like lay it out in their like on their app. Like this is the protocol you need to follow, so that way you can be successful on TikTok. And the people that follow that protocol seem to get to the point where they're successful. Now,
Like, what does that mean though? Like how to post videos or what?
how to post and the schedule you should post if you want to reach maximum viewers. And TikTok has some kind of special sauce. I don't know what it is.
Well,
but there's something about TikTok.
They definitely
that
feed
the
you back stuff that you're interested in, because I hardly ever see anything liberal on TikTok. But that's because I'm not interested in anything liberal. I mean, I get nothing but conservatives on there.
And I don't believe that there aren't people at Instagram or at YouTube that can't look at what's going on and say, okay, we've watched enough videos and have done enough studying of what TikTok does to where we cannot reverse engineer. I totally believe that it's possible to reverse engineer it. And considering I believe that's possible, I don't see why another platform doesn't adopt that, because TikTok is the most successful.
So Instagram copied TikTok years ago. It functions much the same way. You'll notice this in that when you go to Instagram, you no longer are, when you're scrolling your timeline, it is not people you follow.
So then what's the special
Not like
sauce
For
that makes
You, I
TikTok
do.
better? Why is it that people prefer TikTok?
I don't think it is. I think it's just it's critical mass.
Do you mean Reels, Tim? Because when I open Instagram, I get the people I follow, but when I go to Reels, I always get the far leftists. I get crazy. Like I don't care about you.
If you open Instagram, the home tab, you will get some of what you follow.
Okay.
Followed by it's a mix of interest and random stuff.
Oh, I don't know who It's Fuzzy was. Okay.
Right.
I don't know this download. Okay. But
Behind the
I
scenes
usually
of
go to
Jack
Reels.
Black and the School of Rock. I don't know why it's sending me that.
But either way, get rid of
Star
Instagram,
Wars.
get rid of Facebook, get rid of all of it. I don't care. Save the minds of the youth. That's all that matters. Save America.
So what about?
We don't need
That's not
social
helpful
media.
to the conversation at all.
I know.
Section
I know.
230
I
then.
feel like Ian right now.
What about it?
Well, they don't enforce it. You know,
Right.
you have the Congress created this law. Nobody enforces it whatsoever.
Well, no. It's a protection for the companies against liability, so it's enforced all the time. If you try to
Yeah,
sue,
but they're not supposed to be. They're not supposed to be. It's supposed to be treated like a utility, right?
No.
They're not-
No. So people misunderstand Section 230. Section 230 specifically says internet service providers are allowed to editorialize and delete content. That's what it says. It says if content is objectionable, obscene, or otherwise, it can be moderated without liability. That's what the law says. It's enforced every day. If you try to file a lawsuit against Facebook, it will be enforced. Your lawsuit's thrown out. So there was this confusion that came up, 8 years ago when everyone was talking about Section 230, because people kept saying, yeah, but are they a publisher or a platform? Literally never mattered and has nothing to do with Section 230. Section 230 just says that if you're an internet service providing, people the ability to use it, not only are you not liable for the things they post, you are additionally allowed to delete by your choosing of what you think may be obscene, and you still maintain those protections. So it explicitly states if you can delete for these reasons, and it's opinion. So that's where we are. They want to repeal it, then I think that would dramatically change. If they got rid of Section 230, YouTube would become CNN. YouTube would have to enter into formal contracts and then go to people and say, you're hereby not, then they would actually say, we're going to oversee the production of your content because we won't allow you to publish certain things. Otherwise, we will get sued. Wikipedia, I think, shouldn't have Section 230 protections based on the fact that it asserts that itself is the publisher of the content. Section 230 basically says you can't sue the platform for what the publisher did. People argued then, okay, well, is it a platform or a publisher? What that means is there was an instance where X, or Twitter at the time, was making statements. Facebook also made statements. When Facebook was running that fact checker program with the Poynter Institute, which they recently got rid of, you would load up, say, an article from the Federalist, and it would have a tag over it, let's say on Instagram, and it would say, fact checkers found fake information. That's a statement from Facebook. Facebook published that information. You could take a defamation suit against them for that, but then they would argue, we never said it was fake. We said fact checkers rated it false, which is a true statement. That's how they got around it. However, with Twitter, Facebook, YouTube deleting content, They're not saying anything. There is no published statement. You can't sue them. So Section 230 protects them, and they can act as editors, and it gives them de facto editorial powers, because then they can be like, we brought on 10 people, 9 of them are liberal, 1's conservative. We can ban the conservative, and we get the message we want published without us having to actually say it.
Do you think they'll have to pay the fines? End of the day? Do you think they'll have to pay the $5,000 per user?
I don't know.
It's breaking the law, right,
not.
though?
Yep.
It's definitely breaking the law.
I mean, I assume they'll go to court and they'll fight it if they're.
They'll probably get away with it, of course.
Well, the letter from Pam Bondi says they're not going to accrue any fines.
Okay, well,
But I reject and I resent what they're doing. I think it's disgusting. I think it is special interest garbage, and it's the worst thing happening right now in the Trump administration.
Yep.
Look, make any argument you want about how you like TikTok. It still doesn't change the fact that this is the one instance where TikTok, which is controlled by the Chinese Communist Party, has no stated reason for why they're protecting it from federal law. If Trump came out and said, we have been given access to the algorithm and we can hereby confirm they're changing these things, I'd be like, okay, that may be a reason to do what he's doing. There is no reason given by Trump or by his administration as to why they are saying we will not enforce the law against TikTok.
It's so weird.
Well, I mean, it's not weird. It's literally just the president likes TikTok, and he believes that TikTok helped him. So he's saying, okay, I'm going to make sure that the people that voted for me that like TikTok get their special interest. I mean, it's weird in the aspect that it was made into an actual law, and it's like that nobody cares. So even though we won, it's like fine, we can do whatever we want. Well, I mean, which I appreciate for the most part, but it's a law. It's a law, Trump. What are you doing?
Yep.
Yeah. Well.
So if Trump comes out and says TikTok did X, Y, and Z, and for this reason we will do A, B, and C, I'd go, oh wow. In this instance, though, TikTok, by Trump's own words, by Charlie Kirk's own words, has been threatening the data and the privacy of Americans, which we can't track, and has also been feeding an algorithm that's telling children to commit self-harm. Conservatives get banned all the time and still do, and they've not explained to us why they're allowing it to continue operating despite its ban, except for the fact that, like, Kellyanne Conway has reportedly been lobbying on their behalf. So that's probably it.
Trump does have 15.2 million followers on.
Wow, he's got just about the same as Dylan Mulvaney. Really incredible there.
And Charlie Kirk came out, was like praising TikTok earlier about praising TikTok to help Trump getting elected. That really ticked me off because he says, "Yeah, I'll go TikTok. We did our best on TikTok. Good job, Charlie." You're feeding to the CCP, bro.
I'll say this: that Charlie's never given as far as I've seen, a stated reason as to why his opinion 180'd. So I do not respect it. I respect Charlie greatly. I think he's doing great work on this regard. I will criticize him and Trump and everyone else because I don't want to live in this woke leftist garbage world where they say just fall in line and do as we tell you. So if you want to come out and get me on board with your TikTok, then you've got to explain exactly what happened. And coming out and saying it helped Trump win is a lie. It may have in some capacity, but we can still see that it largely feeds woke leftists to young people and takes their data. None of this has changed.
Yeah.
The only thing that's changed, I guess, is there's a powerful conservative billionaire who's hiring lobbyists. I don't play those games.
Yeah.
I've met a bunch of conservatives who have whispered to me, "Hey man, thanks for staying consistent on the TikTok thing." And I'm like, "Why are you whispering?" And they're like, "Nobody wants to step out of line. It is pathetic." There are tons of people that for no reason on Twitter just all of a sudden were like, "I'm for TikTok now." And I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "What do you mean? I mean, shouldn't we be worried about other things?" I'm like, "No, we can be worried about lots of things at the same time. I'm worried about this, same as I'm worried about everything else. We had action taken against us, and now we're giving this up." You know what, man? I'll tell you what really bothers me here and why I'm so entrenched in this one. We have been fighting a culture war for some 15 years to stop the woke indoctrination on these platforms, and we have just made massive gains with Mark Zuckerberg coming out going, oopsie daisy. The expansion of Rumble's near $1 billion investment from Tether. You've got X, Elon buying Twitter. Major victories in the tech space. And then the right is now like, let's give it all up and give China and the woke the ability to maintain their control. It makes literally no sense. And it is basically saying, in this area where we actually have one of the biggest victories we've ever gotten in the culture war, we've literally shut down one of the biggest drivers of woke psychosis. The platform that created Dylan Mulvaney, who went around to 13 million followers and did all of these TV shows. We actually got Democrats to agree to shut it down. And then Trump said, I surrender. I give up. I give up. You can have it. And I'm like, wow, that one pisses me off.
I agree. Libs of TikTok wouldn't be Libs of TikTok. A lot of people wouldn't be who they are on social media if they weren't sharing TikToks from this weird, mental, deranged website that they're ruining our youth of society of America. So yeah, I agree. F them. I'm sorry. I'm gonna swear again.
With Facebook, they're still censoring.
Yeah, whatever.
Instagram still censoring. YouTube, of course, still censoring. But we've made gains. We've been fighting and we've pushed back and we are inverting it. And now these big tech platforms, what do? They donated money to Trump. TikTok is still not within the confines of these victories. It is still outside of our control. It is still pushing this garbage. And Trump says, so what? Amazing. Look, and let me lay it on extra thick. Let me lay it on extra thick. Trump's trying to sue CBS for $20 billion. Facebook has agreed to pay Trump, what is it, like 20 million, 25 million? Trump is getting major concessions and forcing these companies to bend to him, and then Trump surrenders to TikTok. Why?
It's a good question, Tim. That's a very good question. I would love to know that.
I'd love to know the answer. I have no idea.
And Charlie, too. All you people, what the hell? What happened that it was such a bad thing a year ago, and now it's, oh, we love it. Let's keep it going.
Just simply put, why should Facebook give Donald Trump $20 million and TikTok be given free reign to skirt a federal law that was signed by the president? What did TikTok do that they don't got to pay any money? Shouldn't TikTok, for engaging in these behaviors, have to pay a penalty of some sort?
Is TikTok?
Shouldn't they be sued?
Isn't the TikTok company, though, that is here in the United States, aren't they separated from the CCP?
No.
There's nothing here in the United States, sir.
Singapore. They're Singapore-based. Well, they're a Singapore company, but they have one of their principal investors is ByteDance, which is China.
Well, you've got a lot of Chinese investors in a lot of American companies.
Sure do, and two things can be bad at the same time.
And I agree. I just think that if they're gonna go after TikTok, then maybe they need to take a look at all these other corporations that are multinational corporations that have China heavily invested in them.
Absolutely, we do. Hey, Trump's putting tariffs on China.
You know, there is
that's interesting. He's largely complained about the trade deficit, but TikTok's getting a free pass. Why?
Literally because they
lobbied.
Glaze his bagel. They helped him get elected.
But did they really? We don't know that's true.
Well, that's
There's
what he
never been
believed.
data. Exactly. We've never been given a legitimate reason other than he thinks he improved with young people.
Yeah.
And he's got people like Kellyanne Conway getting paid, reportedly, to say that to his face.
Well, I'm not sure. I can't speak to whether or not Kellyanne Conway or any other people that have access to the president are speaking for pay on TikTok's behalf. Maybe that is happening. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But Donald Trump does do things like,
there you go.
I think these people like me, so I'm going to do nice things for them. He's transactional, absolutely.
And I agree.
Okay, so there you go.
Farmlands, China's the farmlands. We can chew bubblegum and walk at the same time, my friend.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't get this one.
Well, Kellyanne Conway, she registered as a foreign agent, didn't she?
What?
I think she did.
Really?
Yeah, I saw an article about that a while back. So she's representing the interests of China or something like that.
Oh yeah, Ukraine.
That's crazy. Oh, you.
And it's Ukraine.
It's probably still China going through Ukraine.
Could be.
Former
Trump advisor Kellyanne Conway. This is New York Times as of August 5th of last year. She's lobbying for Ukrainian interests.
Well, and if she's registered with the FARA, she could very well be lobbying on behalf of China too. It's just a blanket registration.
So you could do anybody.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You just have to declare it and declare what nation. So it probably would, if she's representing him now, it'll probably show up next year in the FARA registrations.
Trump's an imperfect guy, right? He does really good stuff. He's his first term so far is beyond my wild expectations. But he's also the guy that put Fauci on TV every single day and Birx.
Yeah.
He's made a lot of mistakes. He's hired bad people, and this tends to happen. So you call him out when he does something bad. It is what it is. We're still happy he's here, and we still think he, along with Elon, are doing tremendously great things, and I'm happy about it. I just don't like, give me a reason. Give me any reason. Don't see one. So
I think it's all just about Donald Trump liking he thinks that they helped him, so he likes them, so he helps them back. That's as deep as it is, I think.
It feels like it, bro.
So
Feels like it is.
All right, my friends, we are going to go to your super chat. So smash that like button, share the show with everyone you know. And in about half an hour, for those that are watching at rumble.com/Timcast IRL, Rumble Premium, we will have the uncensored members call-in show portion of the show. So you can go to timcastpremium.com, the fastest way to sign up. You can use promo code TIM10. You get $10 off your annual membership. And we got a bunch of behind-the-scenes content. We got the Green Room show. Today's was really interesting because Nate was talking about how somebody was trying to kill him, it seems, for being a whistleblower. And that story is really interesting. That's up on rumble.com/Timcast IRL in the playlist section, Green Room. We also, if you go to rumble.com/TimPool, feature-length documentary is now available for premium users. We'll grab your super chats for now. And if you want to call into the show and actually join, you got to go to timcast.com. Sign up there to join the Discord server. It is something totally separate. All right, what do we got? We got Schlip who says, any chances you could get Larry Lawton on IRL or Culture War? He's an ex-jewel thief who did his time and talks about abuses and process in prison. Interesting. Well, we can take a look. No guarantees. Alpha Turkey says, any 1,000 a month members yet? If there are gold stripes added on the website, then I might consider. Yes, we did in fact get one sign up. One person.
Do we know? I feel like I might know who that is. Is it?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it's not the gentleman who's always.
Nope.
Okay.
Remember, no guarantee that Tim returns your call.
Yeah.
Just get his phone number.
Well, so what we're trying to do to this new member is the first thing is because it was somewhat in jest, where it's like, I don't know, you can get, because the joke I was making was that the president needs access to my phone number, so we'll create the Trump tier, $1,000 a month, and then they can call me when they need me. And then I said, I'll give you my number. But I did say it, so we will. The first thing we're doing is we're going to have our members team reach out to the individual who did sign up and vet them, because we do have stalkers.
Good call.
We have stalkers and security threats, so it has to be vetted. I can't do anything about that because our security company, they've got rules, and insurance, they have rules. But yeah, no problem. It seems on the up and up. The person who signed up has been a member since we started the site. So it seems to be like a long-standing member who just,
Nice.
wants to reach out for whatever reason. And likely what we will actually do is set up a time where I can talk to them and schedule something. Because if my phone rings, I just turn it off. Like, I literally never answer my phone. And I have, technically I don't have a phone because there's like 17 phones that are used for a bunch of different things. And sometimes I use it and sometimes other people are using it. I got to tell you guys, when you're running a company of this size and else revenue coming in and how it's structured, you live in a different world. I don't have a computer. I don't have a laptop. I don't have a phone. Because you can't. I have an email address. I have two. They're not really my email. Other people do my email for me. Well, I get 1,000 emails per day. It's literally impossible for me to go through it all. And so I'm at the point where it's like, of course there's a phone in my hand. Sometimes it is someone else's. It's just whatever phone I happen to be using for whatever particular reason. That's crazy.
That's why you never returned my email years ago.
I never returned anyone's. And people are like, why don't you respond to my text? And I'm like, there's like 30 company phones all over the place.
Yeah.
Legit, when I want to, if I don't send him a message in Slack, I text Alice and say, hey, what's Tim doing? Can you do this or blah, blah, blah.
That's right.
It works wonders. Allison's great.
Well, it's like,
Yeah, she is.
we have so many well, Allison runs everything.
Yeah.
I complain on camera and then she
That's
makes
why I
the machine
call her
function.
boss.
Yeah, me too. She's the boss.
Yes.
No offense, Tim, but yeah.
Well, I mean, like, it's a mom and pop media shop.
Amen.
And basically, I host shows and I tell people where to stand. And then Allison is actually like putting the gears in place and making the machine operate. Yep. And so as the company expands and it gets crazier, and she's, asking me like, how big is it going to get? I'm like, it's your fault. I mean, look at me. I'm the one complaining on the camera, and then you make everything get bigger and run like a real business. Because before she was here, it was just like me yelling at a camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, that's basically. I remember I thought about it at one point where I was like, I used to have a laptop. And I would open it up. I'd play Civilization, or Warcraft, and then I would do work on it. And then it's been, I think, 8 years since I've actually had a laptop, because I got to going back to 2017, the laptops that I had, I ended up having, they were only for work. And because I'd have to bring them out when I was traveling the world, there was never any games on them. There was never anything, nothing was on them. It was Adobe Premiere. And I had a desktop at home, so I'd sometimes play Civ there. And then in like 2018, I had a desktop, which had Warcraft and some games on it and Hearthstone. And then basically from that point forward, from about 2018, was when the computer I was using started getting used by other people. And then probably by 2020, I didn't have anything. I don't have a personal email. Nope. The emails that I have are open, and tons of people access them because they have to. Yeah. I also noticed this too, guys. I don't know who's doing it, but when I was out for dental work, somebody must not have realized that Slack on this machine is logged into me. I see Phil nodding over there.
I know. I knew the entire time.
So
I was like, oh,
I get a message, and I look on my phone, one of them, and someone's responding to me, and I was like, I didn't say that. And it's because I don't actually have a phone or a computer. Somebody went on, saw a message, responded to it. My profile
Kellen.
was logged in.
It was definitely Kellen. I kid.
And people,
No, I'm serious.
I got a private message saying,
Me too, but
how about this or whatever? And I was like, yo, I never messaged you.
that was Kellen.
All right. Let's grab some super chats.
Right under the bus, Kellen.
Right under the bus.
bump.
All right. Jason Dixon says, Tim, I have a wonderful guest suggestion. Hear me out. AK and Scrapjaw from Roma Nation. These people are from your community. Great people. Aren't we having Roma on tomorrow?
A Friday.
Is that not tomorrow?
Yeah, Friday night.
Yeah, Roma's going to be here tomorrow.
Yeah.
Anthony Keith.
Oh, that's his real name.
Yep.
I'm gonna be swing by late night because he's part of the OGs in Discord. Guys, go to Discord. It's a good community. It's Launchpad.
Yeah. So just to clarify again, I know it's kind of confusing, but all of our exclusive content, the documentaries we're making, the behind the scenes content, it's all Rumble Premium. But we have a Discord community of tens of thousands of people, and I told Rumble guys, like, hey, look, we're not turning that off. It has to keep functioning. It has to keep existing. It has to be able to grow, and we have to be able to hire the people and run it and maintain it. And they were just like, yeah, of course, absolutely, totally cool. And I was like, awesome. So it's great. The Rumble guys have been like the best people to work with. It's been really fantastic. Shout out to Chris Pavlovsky. He's a good dude.
Just real quick, shout out to the volunteers for the OG Rumble because you guys, the OG Discord folks, you guys really helped us get it off the ground. And now you got Roma, you got Quiet Part, Out Loud Podcast, you got the call-ins. A lot of the volunteers are freaking amazing over there.
Cool stuff. And I'm really excited for the culture war.
Who you got?
Well, no. I'm saying the culture war format is going to be, we're looking at venues right now. We are going to have weekly shows where we invite people up to join the debate.
Yeah.
I would say consider it like, Jubilee and Kill Tony combined.
Yes.
We didn't like how Jubilee has like a bunch of leftists just berate you. There was that viral Ben Shapiro moment where it was just some leftists going, blah, 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 and it was just, he's like, you're not saying anything. That's just stupid. And they go, I owned you. And I was like, that's really bad. And then Kill Tony is awesome. It's comedy. It's really funny. Yeah. And I was like, well, we want to do debates. So we like what Jubilee was doing, but we didn't like that they had unchecked rants for just screen time. So we were like, we need to like kind of hybridize it.
Yeah.
Have a rotating panel of people who are going to come and join the debate on the culture war while it's happening. Get a few minutes to state their case, make their points, and then join the debate. So whereas with like Kill Tony, someone will do stand up and then they'll talk, they'll like insult them or praise them. Ours is, you will sit down at the table and debate with you. You will make your point, and then we will debate with you. So it's political similarities.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's going to be a freaking blast. It's going to be,
but it's going to be, it's a members only thing.
Yeah.
So we have to have security, we have to have insurance, we have to pay for the venue, and in order to fund all that, that's why we have the Discord community, and that's why you become a member at timcast.com for $10 a month. You get into that community, and then I'm not promoting this heavily right now because we want you all to join Rumble Premium to watch the uncensored stuff. Once the Culture War show is happening, it's going to be all promoted through that, basically. So when we're there, we're going to be like, guys, make sure you join the Discord to come sit in. We have a venue right now, 60 seats.
Yes.
Is what we're looking at.
You need an MC? I did a really good job in Milwaukee.
I think we're gonna rotate.
Okay.
Various people from the show and stuff like that. It'll be cool.
Cool.
All right, let's go. Scott Olsowski. Weimar Germany was very woke with gender studies and trans research. The first Nazi book burning on May 6, 1933, targeted the Institution for Sexual Science, destroying Jewish Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld's work. Interesting. I've heard that quite a bit. People have talked about it. All right. What do we have here? Let's see. Vic the Fix says, now that we're in the weeds and rooting out the wasteful spending and fraud, We need to get Congress to pass a single-issue voting bill when we can. Indeed, indeed.
I hope so.
Very much so. Death Magnet says, if Trump wants to help 2A, he needs to sign an executive order declaring the NFA of 1934, the GCA of 1968, and the Hughes Amendment to the Firearms Owners Protection Act of 1986 all unconstitutional.
Yep.
Agreed. Completely agree. Rain says, how the heck does Kentucky, why did I say Kennedy? Kentucky have arguably one of the best senators and arguably one of the worst senators at the same time?
Who's the other guy besides
Been
Mitch?
that way too long. Rand, right?
Oh,
Yep.
Is it Rand?
well, shoot.
Rand Paul is the senior senator from
That
Kentucky.
is
I'm not sure who the
crazy.
junior senator is.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
They just vote for R.
It is funny. Rand is
Yeah.
like the best.
Yeah.
And McConnell is the worst.
They see an R by your name and they vote for you, and they know it apparently.
Yeah.
Well,
it's the same everywhere.
You see what happened
It
was
is the same. You're right.
Kentucky doesn't want to vote against Mitch McConnell because they feel bad for him because, he falls a lot. So in order to make up for it, in order to make up for sending us such an awful senator, they said, we'll give you Rand Paul, though. It balances out.
There you go.
And then it's like,
Kentucky, step up your game. No more Mitch McConnell
Well, McConnell's
or brain dead folks. Anyone.
he's retiring, isn't he?
Oh, thank God.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I think this is-
Otherwise, I don't think he'd be voting the way that he's voting.
just saying,
Right.
Kentucky, fix
Right.
fix yourself. That's all.
Let's grab some more super chats. Joe Spinella says, there's multiple reasons I haven't filed an income tax since 2010. Yes, I've responded to every letter kindly asking them for a bill of receipt or a list of damages to settle privately. Haven't heard from them now for 5 years. That's interesting.
That is.
I don't know why you would call into a regularly watched show like Timcast and say that, but more power to you, bud.
Well, like I was saying, I had a friend who said they got a bill from the IRS saying they owed money, and they responded back with, okay, like, prove it. They didn't say it like that. They said, thank you for your correspondence. Can you send any related documents showcasing this, this income and the expenditure? And the IRS said, oops, sorry, never mind, and left. And that was the end of it.
I like that. That's great advice.
Well, I mean, I got advice for everybody. They say that if you ever get a debt collector,
Not financial advice, though, right? Isn't that what we say?
I don't know. Let's just say no. But as other people have said before, when debt collectors call you, you just tell them like, can you send me whatever you have on file showing this debt?
It's a good call.
Yeah, I got a funny story for you. Sprint is an awful company. Sprint once changed the terms of their contract substantially. And this was back in like 2013. I had Sprint, and I got an email or something. I heard what happened. And it said that we are changing our terms of service. If you do not respond, you hereby agree to the new contract. And so I called them and said, hey, I don't agree to this, which means I would get out of my contract. At the time, the phone contracts were a thing. They don't really do it anymore.
Yeah.
And they said, yeah, sorry, too bad. And I said, no, not too bad. I am telling you, I do not agree to the new terms. And they said, too bad. And I said, okay, consider the contract terminated. I will not agree to this. And they said, we're going to put it on your credit. And they did. And they filed against my credit. I actually got a hit on my credit because they changed the contract I did not agree to. So as soon, I was waiting for it. As soon as it hit, I went to, I think it was probably like Equifax. And it's TransUnion, Equifax, and what's the other one? Experian. And I said, I hereby challenge this. Instantly won. It was like, what is the purpose? And I said, this, I wrote that the contract had been terminated as per, U.S. law. There is no debt incurred. They are mistaken. They can file whatever they want. All the credit reporting agencies removed it.
You know, that's an interesting idea. How about Congress pass a bill that says the credit companies have to prove the receipts in order to put something on there? Because right now you're basically guilty until you prove your innocence.
Yep.
That's BS. But then the other thing is after 7 years, they disappear anyway.
Sure.
Let's go. Marky Mark says, Tim, I have been selectively targeted in the Discord, false accusations of being a Fed because one of your moderators was restricted on the Discord level. I had nothing to do with this, and getting banned and threatened dogpiled is wildly inappropriate. I have emailed you. I have no information on this, good sir. I have not heard any of this. I will ask my team to look into it. But what I can do is say, I apologize sincerely. There's a reality to a lot of this stuff, and it is unfortunate when we get messages from people where they're like, hey, I've been trying to reach out to membership and I'm not getting support. And it's like, the hard reality is we are trying as hard as we can. And it's not that we don't like you or we're ignoring you. It's that we're juggling all of these plates, and sometimes spam folders get it. I will be honest. I have to be honest, guys. a majority of the emails we get from support are akin to, did you try plugging your computer in?
Oh,
We get a lot of those where, like, again, I'm not trying to rag on anybody, but we'll get a lot of people where it's like, they'll say, I've been having problems, I can't log in. And then it's because they entered, there's a typo in there. Like, here's an example. When they typed their email in, it had a typo, and then the Google auto form saved it, but then it kicked them back saying it's not working. And then every time they tried logging in, they would just use the auto form again. They would leave the email and then try redoing the password, not understanding what was going on. And then we are like, that email's incorrect. And so we get that a lot. Not that we in any way are trying to disrespect people when that happens to them. It's just it's common, and then it takes up a lot of time for our support staff to try and get through all of it. So it is tough. It's funny because a lot of people are like, they'll get really mad at us, and I'm like, dude, like we're going as fast as we can with all of this. Nobody's ignoring you. It's like somebody's here from 9 to 5, and then they go home to their families and their children. It's like we're trying to figure it out. We need to hire more people. You know, we're getting there. We're getting there.
I can vouch as the blue collar fella here that there's a lot. People are trying, man.
Well, we'll have you deal with this. Do you know about what's going on with this Marky Mark guy?
No, I have zero idea, Tim. I'm too busy working out. Our friend over here does.
We should deputize Raymond for solving our Discord problems. The sheriff.
I can, I guess. I've been
Serge
there.
says yes.
I've been there since day one.
You are hereby
I just
Discord
took on
sheriff.
more. Okay.
the sheriff of Discord.
I should have shut up.
What, you don't want to be sheriff?
I mean, I'm okay with it. Yeah.
He's like, all this responsibility and power, it's going to go to my head. All right. The Oracle says the Fed is against the Constitution since Congress are the ones enjoined to coin the currency. The Treasury in 1913 was never ratified by the states. It isn't legal. Interesting. Well, I don't know nothing about that. But check out Game of Money on Rumble Premium, our feature-length documentary by Ben Stewart about how money works. It's very interesting. Fletcher Boy says, so when are you moving to Nashville, Tim? I'll buy from your skate shop. We're not. We are in West Virginia. I'm hoping that they fix the stupid Uber laws, and I hope the people of West Virginia hear this, the politicians, because I know that they're listening. And with all due respect, we've lost 3 people because of the restrictions put on us over this, and it's ridiculous because there's no circumstance where we could have hired them. It's absolutely insane. Okay? I don't want to say too much because I want to violate the privacy of the individuals who have decided to part ways. But if there is somebody who makes paintings and we don't, and they are being told by the state to start a company and, you know, fill all this stuff out, and they're like, I don't do enough work in the state to care about this. And then they're like, I'm just sorry, I'm not interested. Super annoying. All right. Let's grab some more while we're here. Juan Castillo says, sell a Keurig variety pack. I don't know which one I want. Banish the IRS. I don't want to pay taxes. Get Lupe Fiasco on. Woof, woof, woof. Interesting. Lupe Fiasco. My friends used to listen to his stuff all the time. Don't we have Keurig variety packs on castbrew.com?
I know you have Keurig. I don't know if you have variety packs or not.
Really? We don't. I thought we did. That's a really good point, and we should. So as it is written, so shall it be done. We will get on that. Guys, Casper's doing really well. It's been a great venture. It's one of our most successful ventures. We've got over 100, now more, franchise location inquiries. Nice. Many of them are total. Some of them are light, but many of them they're straight up legit. Handful of people are like, I've got a big savings, I got a retirement account, I've got investment money. We want to open a shop. Some people have said we're actually planning on opening a shop. We'd love to do it with you because basically, let me tell you, we have a lot of plans. I can't say too much because, you know, it's Chef Andrew Gruel, the famous Chef Andrew Gruel, who's basically running and managing that side of things for us. It's an honor and a privilege. Andrew Gruel's amazing, and he knows how to do this stuff. What I'm hoping to do, and again, I'm not saying this definitively, but when a new location opens, we go there and we do the grand opening night, Timcast IRL from the new locations. That's the hope and the dream. And the reason I'm saying it kind of loosely is because I don't know what I'm allowed to say. You know, Chef Gruel might be like, there's restrictions on how and when we can do things like that, but it would be really cool. It'd be really, really cool. And I don't want to be the owner of a corporation that has 1,000 buildings. We want to create something that we can help people set up, and then you own the business. So that's the plan, man. All right. T-Couch says, Tim, check out Nick Freitas' channel with Chris Hennies. take on the dollar demand versus the dollar surplus on the world market. Interesting. Yeah, Nick's cool dude. Very cool dude. Cole Stackman says, watch the Dems spin this as Trump and Elon target IRS during tax season, affecting middle-class Americans. That's exactly what they did. Your refund is going to be affected. All right. Not About says, USS Harry Truman crashed into a merchant ship off the coast of Egypt hours ago. Thank God Trump is driving recruiting numbers up. We need more competence. Wow. What was that all about?
I don't know.
Yeah, crazy. Fear Me 16 says, did you see what Trump said today about talks with Russia and China to reduce spending on defense by 50% and to reduce nukes worldwide? I did. It is very based. I don't trust China, though. Do not trust. Isaac Vanderbilt says that he is a proud white American nationalist. So what? Yeah, I don't care.
I agree.
It was the funny thing when, like, white nationalists are doing their thing, and I'm like, not a fan, don't like them. But the issue is not so much if someone came to me and then they said that they thought America should be for white people, and that was about it, I'd be like, okay. Like, am I going to cry about it? I don't care. You know, my response is typically you'll be hard-pressed to convince a mixed-race man that you are correct, but sure. The issue I have largely is with annoying people who are obsessive. So it's, if someone comes to me and says they're a white nationalist, I'll be like, we can have the debate, sure. But if someone comes to me and they say they're a white nationalist and then they keep banging their fists on the table screaming the Jews, I'm like, bro, I'm not interested in your obsessions. This is weird.
I am a nationalist, and I so happen to be white, but I love America, so I feel like everyone should be supportive of their country, sir. You know?
It's so weird that they tried making nationalist a bad thing.
Yes,
Right.
It's pride for your country, pride for your nation.
Well, they want people to be globalist. But the funny thing is, they said globalist was an anti-Semitic slur. Legit, they did. And then they also claimed that being a nationalist was bad. I'm like, then what are you? Like, are you for a global community or a national community? Well, you can't say the globalist. That's a slur. It's like, okay.
Maybe they're a transnationalist.
There you go. I mean, that is the appropriate word, to be honest.
Right.
All right, let's go. Druid Arrow says, Constitution already has the 3/5 clause. Use it to change it or add it to it. We were having a conversation in the green room, and someone said that the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, and I said, no, it didn't. It explicitly legalized it. The 13th Amendment of the Constitution explicitly legalizes slavery. Didn't ban it. That's why Kanye. I think it was Kanye who said he wanted to abolish or revoke or whatever. And people then said he was trying to bring back slavery, and he was like, no, read it. It says it bans slavery unless convicted of a crime. Let me pull this up because this is really fascinating.
It kind of was the first person I heard that say get rid of the 13th.
Amend it. So it says this. Okay, let me actually pull it up. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the U.S. or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Do you know what that means?
That means that you can be voted. You can be prosecuted and subjected to involuntary servitude if it's through due process.
Do you know what that means in the to the average person? It means if you jaywalk, we can enslave you. Explicitly legalizing slavery in this country and how it will be operated. It says crime where you've been duly convicted.
Yep.
When you plead guilty to a speeding ticket, they now have the legal right to enslave you. Of course, we're not doing that. It's not going to happen. But that's an important distinction to make.
The thing is, it's so that way, and I'm not saying that I endorse this, but it's so that way when you're put into prison, they can make you work in prison.
Right. Making license plates.
Or whatever you know.
But
Busting rocks.
I've talked to a few people in jail, and they can't actually make you do the work.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't remember who I was talking to about it. I don't want to say the wrong person, but there is an individual I believe is who told me it. But again, if I'm wrong, I'd rather not besmirch their name. But they basically said, if you don't want to work, you just don't. They won't even bother with it. It's that people want to work because they're bored. So when given an opportunity to go do something, they'll say, yeah, I'll go do it. Like the people who fight wildfires for California. Yeah. It's like you will get to go outside and travel around and you'll get to eat fast food. And they're like, yeah, I want out of here, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being in a concrete block cell is never the best time.
Rachel Knapstein says, Tim, I filed my taxes last Saturday and got my Fed return today. That's the fastest I ever got them back. Go Elon. And by the way, abolish the IRS.
Hey, good stuff.
Indeed, indeed. Patra says 50% of Democrats in Congress were not voted in. Is that a reference to like D+ districts, or what do you mean? Like areas where they run unopposed largely because people just vote Democrat no matter what?
I'm a Democrat now, my friends. I've from where I live in Harrisburg. No, seriously, where I live in Harrisburg, I have zero say in the primary.
Yeah.
At all, and a lot of times Republicans don't even run, so it's just like straight D.
You live in Maryland?
Harrisburg.
Oh, my bad.
Well, all right, last one here. We got Christina who says, Tim, if they ban TikTok, they have precedent to ban RT, Telegram, and others. They already banned RT. Would Rumble be next? RT and Telegram are Russian, aren't they? Hope you will respond to this. RT already got banned, and the law specifically states a platform with over 1 million users that allows people to do this, that. It's specifically TikTok. I do think we should consider scale. I don't care if some guy has 3 cows and sells raw milk. I care, however, if there's a giant factory that replaces all of their milk with unpasteurized milk without telling people. Scale matters. It's not a big deal when one guy does it. It is a big deal when thousands do it. Or like when a major corporation, does it. So the issue with TikTok is, sure, there are a lot of apps run by Iran, China, Telegram, these things like Telegram. The question is, how much is their impact? Telegram doesn't have an algorithmic feed that sends you Dylan Mulvaney. So I'm not really all that concerned about it. The argument that I don't accept this argument where they say, if we let them ban TikTok, maybe they will ban some other good thing. And it's like, so you're saying let them do evil because they might do more evil? I'm confused. How about we focus on individual actions and say TikTok is bad for these reasons, we want it banned. But what about the farmland? We'll deal with that next. That's on the back burner too. But then maybe they'll ban X. We'll tell them no and won't let them do that. It's really that simple. My friends, smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. For those that are watching on Rumble, we are about to head into the uncensored member call-in portion of the show where you as members get to call in and talk to us and our guest. It's good fun. So go to timcastpremium.com. Easiest way to sign up. If you use promo code TIM10, you get $10 off your annual subscription to Rumble Premium, where we've got feature-length documentaries, the Green Room, behind-the-scenes production show, and more to come. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. And, of course, you can join the Discord at timcast.com. Nate, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, you guys can check me out at theraisingcainshow.com. And you can follow me on pretty much all social media at Nate Cain for WV.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Raymond G. Stanley Jr. Follow me on X, Raymond G. Stanley Jr., and around the internet, Mr. Phil.
I am Phil That Remains on X. You can subscribe to me there. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remain. New record dropped on January 31st. It is called Anti-Fragile. You can go check it out on YouTube, Amazon Music, Apple Music, Spotify, Pandora, and Deezer. And don't forget, The Left Lane is for Crime.
We will see you all in the uncensored call-in show in about 30 seconds. Thanks for hanging out.